Hi, I'm Kate Burke, and this is another in a series of sessions created to help you find your own distinctive speaking voice. Today, I'm going to talk about verbal jamming or text work. Now, we can't just pick up great texts and expect to speak them beautifully, powerfully, smoothly. In fact, both form and content must be prepared and polished. So, a fun way to polish your form is to find a great text and, in a spirit of curiosity and playful exploration, put it through its paces. I've used the Gettysburg Address in several of these sessions, but you could use a poem that you love, or you could use Shakespeare's sonnets, which are perfect because they're short and they're rich, and you never really feel you plumb all their depths. I'll just speak a little bit of one for the fun of it. Let me not to the marriage of true minds admit impediments. Love is not love which alters when it alteration finds, or bends with the remover to remove. Oh no. I could go on, but I won't. Back to jamming, text work. I'm going to give you a series of 5 or 6 exercises that you can do on a great text, which will deconstruct it, reconstruct it, reveal the architecture of the words to you, the musicality, the rhythms. And if you discover these things in your jamming sessions, then you will speak them, you will embody them naturally and effortlessly when you're speaking in public or presenting. Again, I'll use the Gettysburg Address. So the first one we did in an earlier session, and I call it Chant, Then Speak. It is the easiest and most immediate way to warm your voice up and insert it in a flowing way into text. I always joke and say that if I had about 15 minutes left at the end of my teaching career to teach 1 or 2 exercises, this would be one of them. So here I go, chant and speak. 77 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation. 77 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation. You can really feel the rich flow of your voice like a flowing brook through the words. Next is building the text. Well-written texts are so rich with words. We can't take them in one reading. So this build the text exercise allows you to discover each word. I'll show you. 4, 4 and 7, 7 years, 7 years ago, 7 years ago, our 7 years ago, our fathers, 7 years ago, our fathers brought, 7 years ago, our fathers brought forth. Can you see how you yearn for the next word? You learn what the current word is doing. You learn its function. And if you're a curious, thinking, vocal, verbal person, you want to know where the text is going next. And it also smooths the repetition. And you get muscle memory in your mouth. And it's much easier to learn sections of text off the book so you can speak them in public with confidence. Next exercise is answering the questions that journalists answer when they write. All those basic questions: who, what, where, when, why, how. Every well-written composition answers those questions, or it's deconstructed or absurdist or meant to be disjointed somehow. That would rarely apply, I would think, in the presentation setting. So if you can set up a sort of a dialogue with yourself, I'll do it. When? 77 years ago, who? Our fathers did what? Brought forth where? On this continent, what? A new nation. How? Conceived in liberty. How? And dedicated to the proposition that what? All men are created equal. Then you find that without inserting those questions, you're starting to answer them in your inflection and the way that you speak, which sets up a real dialogue between you and listeners. Because listeners sit in chairs in an audience, and they're asking themselves, what is she going to say? What does he have to tell me? What can this possibly mean to me? Why would I take it on board? I'd rather be texting. Okay, I think it's very hard for any speaker to part any one of the 7 veils that seem to hang between the speaker and the listener. Next, to freshen up or give a sort of a beginning to new ideas, you can add the words, listen to this, or other kinds of expressions, something like and, or what's more, or get this, okay? Listen to this. 77 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. And there's more. Now we are engaged in a great civil war. Doing what? Testing whether that nation or any nation so conceived and so dedicated can long endure. Listen to this. We are met on a great battlefield of that war. Can you hear how it whets the interest of the listener? Now, you can't add those expressions, but the way that you enter the next line or thought can be done in that same sort of rising and heightened and excited way. If you are excited and passionate about what you talk about, so will the listeners be. And finally, it's fun to add names to your text, because nothing ties the text to a listener more than the use of a name. We do it in speech all the time. Your parents did it with you when you were growing up. Kate, I told you to be home by curfew. When they use your name, you know, it's serious business, and you'd better pay attention. So, again, with the Gettysburg Address, I'll add some names. 77 years ago, Jim, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty, Melanie, and dedicated to the proposition that all men, Andrew, are created equal. Now we are engaged in a great civil war, Marianne, testing whether that nation or any nation so conceived and so dedicated, Sarah Jane, can long endure. I used some multi-syllable names just to change it up a little bit. But you can feel how that gives your voice a sort of I mean business quality, and I want you to get these words that I am saying. Believe me, if we let the listeners off the hook in any way by lowered energy or flat inflection or flabby entrances to new thoughts or points of view, they're already gone. So, a few forms of jamming or text work. It should be fun. It should be delicious. You should begin celebrating the subtle terrain, I always say architecture of great texts. And when you appreciate that, it will make them so much fun to speak. And if you can speak a great text well, with momentum, with passion, that will carry over to your daily speaking voice and to whatever you have to say, the content of a presentation. So, as I say to my students, be a text worker. Have fun.